I wish that I had had an understanding of recovery when I had the stroke 7 years ago. There I was in that hospital bed. My life had suddenly changed, and I had no idea how I would think about what my new life would look like or how I would organize a recovery. I had 2 brainstem strokes, 24 hours apart, and I was profoundly disabled. Both sides were affected. My left side was almost totally paralyzed. I couldn't sit up, I couldn't swallow and had a feeding tube. My speech was heavily slurred. I couldn't focus my eyes, and I could not walk. Today you can see that much has changed. Is there something it would have helped me to have known? Yes, there is. My friends and I would like to share with you 4 things we've learned that it would have helped us to have known from the beginning. The first is, change is possible. 18 years ago, Kyle was left side paralyzed and unable to walk.
I had 2 strokes. I had another one 2 weeks later, and that's the one that kind of stayed with me. It's like my body went away, or part of it did, and I grieved that because I had always felt strong and competent. I was in the building trades at that point.
As Kyle began to recover, he reclaimed his body.
I was doing something and I reached around behind my back, which the first time that happened was just like, I mean, I wept. And I reached around behind my back and picked something up that was sitting there. I don't even remember what it was, maybe a screwdriver or something, and put it in my hand to do what I was doing. And all of a sudden I just stopped, you know, it was just, I mean, it makes me shiver thinking about it. I had done the impossible.
Kyle discovered that change is possible and is now a very well-loved second grade teacher.
There's somebody ready right over here. So I'm going to start with group 1. Ready? You ready? Really ready? Oh!
Afi had a cerebrovascular attack that left her left side almost entirely paralyzed. Today, a little over a year later, Afi continues to recover.
To be talking on the phone and have your life change forever, it was just something that was overwhelming. I could not stand up alone. I could not go to the bathroom alone. I can have a situation that I think is just absolutely devastating that I'll never be able to recover from, and actually recover. So I have new discoveries every time.
Yuhua had a stroke that brought him many challenges.
The problem is I couldn't raise up my left arm and hands at all. I couldn't move my fingers, and I can slightly move my leg. I couldn't stand up.
Yuhua could not walk. Here, in the gym at the rehabilitation center, Yuhua is relearning walking and climbing stairs. And here, a few months later, he's at home with his son, Brandon. When my friends and I were injured, we did not know if we could improve. We have all learned change is possible. What else did we learn? We learned that the person who would have the biggest impact on our recoveries is us. Our doctors and nurses and therapists, as wonderful as they are, cannot do this for us. Our willingness to work with them is crucial. Each of us is the key to our own recovery.
So I've learned to pay attention to my body now. And I also have learned that I'm an incredible member of my treatment team. I think I was in therapy 6 hours a day. And that was the formal therapy, or that was therapy with assistance, I called it. But when I returned to my room, I would continue to replicate those therapies or those exercises that I could do. And I felt that was extremely important.
Rita had many severe injuries from her strokes 13 years ago. Her right side was paralyzed. She could not walk. She did not know how to do ordinary things. And her speech center was very badly damaged.
I didn't speak for a year and a half. And they said that I would wear a brace and a quad cane for my life. And through intensive speech therapy, I would be able to say yes and no. And that's how I would be.
When Rita had her strokes, not as much was known about recovery as is known today. Today, new discoveries are constantly being made and implemented. The medical help you will receive is profoundly important. Learn everything you can from your therapists, your nurses, and your doctors. They are the experts. But remember, it is we who will do the work.
I can hike 9.5 miles without a quad cane or a brace, yes, or a brace.
Rita never stopped believing in her ability to affect her own recovery. And today she sets an example of what attitude and determination can do as she continues to improve 13 years after her strokes. How we work with what has happened to us makes all the difference. It takes a while to begin to learn confidence in our ability to move again, but the changes begin when we start to work.
My physical therapist wrapped my foot up, and my left foot up, and told me to stand up from the wheelchair. And I looked at her and I said, "You're kidding, right?" And she said, "No, I'm not kidding. I want you to stand up. I've got you. I'm not going to let you fall." So I trusted her, and I got up and I stood up.
As I did start experiencing myself starting to recover and gain some function, and those first little threads of confidence start happening again. Well, I can walk to the corner and back.
As we worked on our recoveries, my friends and I came to understand that what we did would directly affect our ability to improve. Each of us is the key to our own recovery. The next thing we learned is that if we stopped trying, we would stop improving. Change takes time. Don't give up. 7 months ago, after a blood vessel burst in his brain, Kenny was unconscious for several days.
My right side was paralyzed and I couldn't talk, but now I'm doing great. Since October, I've been working on my recovery, and it takes a little at a time, so you can't expect it all to just happen at once. You got to work at it. So it usually takes, little at a time, one day at a time.
There were times when I kept thinking, well, maybe this is all. Maybe this is as far as it goes, because a recovery process, or any process for that matter that I'm aware of, plateaus, rises, plateaus, sometimes descends a bit. It seems like you've fallen back.
If you don't challenge yourself, it's going to stay like that. If your hand is standing in one place and it's not really moving, it's going to stay like that until you do something about it. So it's up to you to challenge yourself to go to the next level. And I'm going back to work in July, so at 100%. So I'm feeling like about 95 right now. So that 5%, I think I'll have that by then.
Those people who recover quickest are those who don't give up and who always have the hope and the courage to continue to do whatever is necessary to recover.
I was stubborn, so I just said, okay, well, I have gotten this far, and I'll go on.
the idea that I could do it was, I think, the most important gift that I was given.
Stopping our effort stops our chances for recovery. Change takes time. Don't give up. The next thing we learned is that we don't have to wait to live our lives. Regardless of the level of recovery we are currently experiencing, we can and we do find a way to get on with our lives and make them worthwhile. Our lives are happening now. I see this in you too, the sense of adventure and this just relentless decision to say, this isn't going to stop me. Life is going to keep on going. I'm going to find a way to live.
There was so much more to do, you know. I mean, for me and for other people, you know. I just realized it. So I couldn't do this maybe a year ago. The stroke has not stopped me from having a life. I was really depressed for 6 months in the beginning of the stroke, and then I realized, hey, this is my life, and you know, I better get to it.
Getting on with her life for Rita means cooking. Rita is a wonderful cook, and she loves it. She cooks for herself, her friends, and even for groups of 25 people, all with her non-dominant hand. To do this, Rita has learned from her occupational therapist that there are special tools that she can use.
Occupational therapy is a wonderful thing, and with the help of occupational therapy, I even got a book, How to Do Things with One Hand. And I didn't master the tying the shoe with one hand, but I did get the bra on. I still get tired. I still have less energy and stamina than I had before. But life is good.
Every day I feel better than before.
Recovering from a stroke is literally remembering. You are getting your arm back and your hand back and your legs back, and your head will start to move around, and all of that. It's an act of recollection. When the stroke happened, of course, my guitar playing stopped because my hand was off. It was just hanging. It was just limp meat hanging at the side of my body. And then as my function started to return, my hand got all curled up like this, and it's still working its way out of that. My voice wouldn't carry, it was all over the place because at least one of my vocal cords had decided it didn't want to function. So I got, it was like, and it's still a little like that. But I'm going to be singing at Yoshi's in December. The fact that I can do this at all is some kind of a proof. And that I've actually gotten to a point where I can sit here and have people watch me do it is a proof. And what the proof is that it changes. It doesn't stop changing. You're not stuck in the same position forever. It feels like it, but you're not there. And every change you're experiencing right now is an invitation. It's a proof that you can move, you can do it.
Change is possible. Each of us is the key to our own recovery. Change takes time. Don't give up. Our lives are happening now. Change is possible. Each of us is the key to our own recovery. Change takes time. Don't give up. Our lives are happening now. These are lessons that we learned. Knowing them from the beginning would have helped us face our injuries and the work that was to come. My friends and I offer them to you in the hope that they will help you.